Skagit Transit Board of Directors for August 19, 2020 to order. The time is now 1 o'clock. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I appreciate us all doing that even though we're delayed. So, all right. I'll ask Whitney to call our roll call of members. I'm Jill Boudreau, Mayor of Malverton.
Okay. Commissioner Janicki?
Yes, I am here.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes, I'm here.
Mayor Sexton?
I'm here.
Mayor Gear? Councilperson Holt?
Here.
Dave Thomas?
Subbing for
Commissioner Dahlstead? Yeah. Jackie Brenson?
Here.
Subbing for Ron Neeson and Councilperson DeGloria. And that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Whitney. Item 4 today is our public comment. I know that there was some that was emailed out that I received, but I don't know if we've got anyone on the line for public comment today.
Looks like we just got Joe Kunzler. I'm not sure if he wants the public comment.
My only comments are on the transit development plan, and I emailed in some around midnight.
Okay, I know, Joe, that I received that. I believe Whitney distributed that to all the board members, so we did receive it. So thank you for that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Great. Then moving on from our public comment, we'll go to our consent agenda. And that consent agenda has 2 items, the approval of the July meeting minutes and the approval of claims and payroll.
I'd move approval of the consent agenda.
This is Mayor Johnson. I'll second it.
Thank you so much. That's a motion by Councilmember Mark Hulst and a second by Mayor Julia Johnson. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All right, opposed, same sign. Thank you. With that, the consent agenda items carry. All right, moving into full discussion items. Item A is our monthly budget update report, and that's for July. And I'm going to turn it over to Arden. Arden.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Our monthly budget update for July 2020. For revenues, Skagit Transit received $1,157,851 in sales tax revenue for the month of July 2020. This is 2.37% higher than the $1,130,995 collected in July of 2019. Total sales taxes collected so far for 2020 are $6,917,560, which is 5.92% lower than the $7,353,191 collected during the first 7 months of 2019. We also received $797,135 in federal grant reimbursements this month from the Federal CARES Act. For expenses, fuel are well within budget. All other expenses were as expected. The current reserve account balances are for July 2020 for operating is $4,011,732, facilities $400,000, capital replacement $2,004,647, non-designated $1,002,100, which brings our total reserves to $7,418,479, as compared to $6,227,386 for July of 2019. And before I make the recommendation to approve the monthly budget reports, again, there's the second part to this is the projection comparison with the federal CARES stimulus that we update each month. if you're not familiar with this spreadsheet, this is basically our comparison of the new revenue that we received in the form of the federal care stimulus with what we expect our sales taxes to be short this year compared to the budget. If you saw the same spreadsheet last month, you can tell that we were in that, well, we projected to be received, we thought we were going to receive 80%, we projected to be receiving 80% in July. We actually received a lot more than that. July came in at 105%. We projected another 80% throughout the year. If that holds, if this projection holds, we'll be short by about $2 million, but then we got the $7 million in CARES Act, so we hopefully, again, if the projection holds, to carry over about $4.9 million coming into next year. And with that, staff recommends the board approve the monthly budget reports for July of 2020.
Okay, thank you, Arden. Any questions or discussion on the monthly budget report?
Yeah, Jill, I have a question for Arden on the budget report. So Get the Transit actually received more sales tax revenue in July than 2019. My question is on the CARES Act reimbursements of almost $800,000. Is that for a different period, or what time and what expenditure, what reimbursements does that cover?
Are you talking about the $797,135?
Correct.
That's what we received from CARES for July of 2020. So that's so basically that brings, if you look at the second part of the spreadsheet here, the green. So I think if you include that $797,000 that we received in July, we probably received over $4 million of this $7 million in CARES Act. Now, for so far. Again, the goal is to be able to recoup this, to be able to get this entire $7 million before year's end. If that's what you're asking.
No, my question is what I get the amount and the timing of it, but what does that reimburse schedule?
I got you. It's mostly pay and benefits. Mostly salaries and benefits is what we sent for reimbursement. Yes, and anything that we spent for COVID related.
Covers the additional cleaning of the buses, the additional cleaning of Skagit Station, even the MOA too.
I guess I'm just surprised that sales tax revenues are coming in above what we thought they were going to be by 5%, increased over last year. Yeah, we're getting almost $800,000. It just seems like, it's unusual to me with the CARES that we've received, at least, to be able to get additional and carry over the 2021 5 of the $7 million. I mean, it just seems like a big number.
It does, and like I think that I've mentioned in the past couple of months, it's it's almost for us, it almost feels like the FDA did us a favor by this was funneled through our FDA 5307 operating grant, and they made it very clear in that grant award that anything that happened after January 20th we can say that is related to COVID. So because they made it very clear in that document. So anything that happened after January 20th, 2020 is COVID related, made it much easier for it. And there were a lot of clarifications just to make sure that that's what their intent was. And so basically when they said that, then salaries and wages are basically the first thing that we put in that reimbursement request.
I think there's two, Arden, and I don't know if you can speak to this, but the municipalities have specific rules around it, and I'm going to assume that maybe transit has a little bit different rules around not only how you were given the funding, but what you could use it for. Is that fair?
Yeah, totally fair, Mayor.
And every time we ask for a reimbursement, we have to give them a detailed report of everything that we spend.
Yeah.
We need our lobbyists, Jill.
Well, I was going to say, so Steve and I don't want to speak for the mayors, I'm sure are a little envious at this point because we
Miffed.
miffed, okay.
Yeah.
Miffed through no fault of our Skagit Transit employees, so don't take it personally.
It was, that was the kind of discussion we were going through, because before FTA, it was actually FEMA. Before FTA came into the picture with this CARES, it was FEMA that we were going for. And if it would have been FEMA, it would have been totally different, because FEMA just allowed it specifically for PPEs. And if we were going to use salaries and wages, then we have to very make a clear distinction as to why that salary and wages is COVID, specifically COVID related, and as in comparison to the FTA making it really clear that anything that happened after January 20th, 2020 is COVID related.
I just want to say, honestly, as a representative of an agency that is a sales tax revenue creator and generator, and with all that goes with that, I'm a little salty. I'll be perfectly honest with everybody about it, but please go on.
Okay, and then just like a SCAF,
I did not hear what Arden said there, so I apologize.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I just repeated the recommendation that SCAF recommends the board approve.
Okay, so I think that basically it's just we customarily approve the monthly budget report. So that's what I would be looking for a motion for from the board.
Mayor Boudreau, I ask that we approve the monthly budget report as presented. This is Lisa.
This is Steve. I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So motion by Commissioner Janicki, a second by Mayor Sexton. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you so much. Arden, thank you very much. Okay, item B in our full discussion is a resolution 2020-03 to amend the spending limits and procurement policy and procedures. Dale, are you taking this one?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, please.
Current $50,000 spending limit for the spending limit of Skagit Transit's executive director was authorized by resolution 2016-10 and passed in open public meeting on November 16, 2016. All purchases that exceed the threshold required above by the board of directors and such procurement must be solicited by a formal competitive process. As Skagit Transit grows and the market prices continually rise, this $50,000 spending limit for the executive director has become restrictive as the agent strives to conduct timely procurements while seeking the best price or the best value with the taxpayers. This threshold is also specifically less than the current threshold used by the Argos transportation agencies. In addition, the current procurement policy set the micro purchases threshold at $5,000. A micro purchase is an acquisition of a product or services where the aggregate amount does not exceed the threshold where purchases would be required for informal quote, but only requires a fair and reasonable price determination, increasing the current micro purchase threshold from $5,000 to $10,000. Also makes it in line with the threshold used by our adjacent transportation agencies. Staff recommends the board approve resolution 2020-3 authorizing the increase in the spending limit for the executive director from $50,000 to $100,000, which shall become a new threshold requiring a formal competitive bid process, and that micro purchases threshold be increased from $5,000 to $10,000. Based on the board approval of these requests, Skagit Transit's procurement policy and procedures will be amended accordingly to reflect these changes.
Okay, any questions for Dale on this? Okay. I personally, I know when we run up into spending limits, it does take a lot of time. And I actually really like the idea of the micro purchase going from 5 to 10,000. But any other board discussion on this?
So I don't have an issue with the micro purchases going from 5 to 10,000, but I'd like some examples of what the 50 to 100,000 would be. Feels to me that $100,000 expenditure should probably have board approval.
I think the way this first came about, if that would help, is we noted, I think we patterned this based on what Island Transit, Whatcom Transit, and even Spokane were doing. So for example, those transit agencies, for example, even Island Transit has a micro purchase, a bid threshold of $250,000. I mean, it's going to be a big jump. We weren't going there, but I guess that is the motivation behind this, is that to make it a little easier on us by at least following what the adjacent agencies are doing.
Arden, do you have a specific example of a purchase though? Buses, generally you guys come and we have an agenda item. I'm trying to think myself of what could be an example of a purchase.
Chris, I'm going to bounce this off to you. Cameras for the park and rides that go down and things of that nature that you use behind the fashion.
One of the biggest examples would be a storage server that costs anywhere from 40 to 60,000, depending on the size of the server. So that would put this under the micro threshold, which would allow us to purchase that without board approval. Larger camera upgrades, like we're getting ready to do for Chucking Up Park and Ride, those might approach the $50,000 threshold and would require us to come to the board. So when it comes to big servers and infrastructure type things, that's from the IT perspective, what this would make it a little bit easier to procure with.
We also have the digital repeater up on Alger Mountain that we've been trying to get that up and going. And in order to, the bids that we get basically go through Dave Wireless, and they're about the same threshold of what Chris is talking about, anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 to put those new repeaters up in capacity.
So just to clarify too for the board, this would be purchases that would already have been in an authorized budget that's been passed, correct, Dale?
Yes, correct.
Okay, just reminding us of that as well.
Yeah, Jill, and I don't, obviously it's already budgeted items that we've already approved, so that's not a big deal. And I get that sometimes things will need to be purchased that beyond the $50,000. My hang up is it eliminates the competitive bidding process for anything under $100,000. And that just seems like a big deal to me. Should we still go out for competitive bids for those purchases?
Can you clarify that, Arden or Dale?
I actually think that puts the burden on us to do our due diligence to go out and get the quotes, which we will do, and have that detailed information available.
So I'm sorry, Dale, can you clarify that? Does this mean that you would still seek quotes, but you wouldn't have to bid? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we would absolutely go for quotes. Yes.
I think that's, just to clarify too, the confusion here too. So anything under $10,000, which is the micro purchase, anything under $10,000, we don't need quotes for. We'll do what we see is fair and reasonable. Anything from $10,000 to $100,000 will require quotes. So we will still do our research and we'll consult maybe the MRSC vendor list to obtain quotes, but it's not going to be the formal bid process where we have to advertise in the newspaper and then hold the public bid opening. But anything over $100,000 is when we do that.
That's important clarification. So
But, and again, that's not reflected in the resolution though. Or is it? Did I overlook it?
It would be in our procurement policy, but yeah, this resolution just increases the amount. But it would be in the procurement policy, correct?
Yes, it would be. It's the, I think, let me see, just make sure that it's not in here, because I think if it's not, then I need to clarify, because that's my intent, is to limit and increase our bid threshold as well.
I think there's half of it's in it, in the now therefore part of it. But it seems like it could use a little bit more, a few little bit additions to clarify.
We'll fix it.
So for the board, would you like it to come back next month with additions, or would you like to take action on it today with specific guidance for staff?
I think we can just, I would just basically just pull it to make it, do one more read over and then fix it just to make sure it's all included.
I'd be more comfortable if we bring it back next month and all the details are in the document.
Okay, do I have a motion to table this particular agenda item for next month? Do I need to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
So Mayor Boudreau, this is Mayor Johnson. I make a motion to table it until next month.
Second.
Okay, so a motion by Mayor Johnson. I think the second was from Councilmember Markholz. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right, any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, staff, for bringing that back next month. All right, item C is a public transportation agency safety plan. And Joe McDonald is on, and so I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. So as you'll read in the packet, on July 18th, 2018, the FTA published the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan Final Rule, which requires certain operators of public transportation systems that receive federal funds under the FTA's Urbanized Area Grants, formula grants, to develop safety plans that include the processes and procedures to implement safety management systems. The PTAS rule became effective July 18th, 2019. Transit operators must certify that they have a safety plan in place meeting the requirements of the rule by December 31st, 2020. The plan must be updated and certified by the transit agency annually. The plan must be reviewed and approved by Skagit Transit's governing board. Upon approval by the board, the plan must then be submitted to the Washington State Department of Transportation and the Skagit Council of Governments. So Skagit Transit is classified as a small public transit transportation provider in that we operate less than 100 vehicles in daily service, and we do not have rail service. So Skagit Transit staff does recommend that the board approve the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, and there is no budget impact in that we already have all the processes and elements in place to complete the procedures.
Okay. Any questions for Joe on this particular item? It looks like it's quite the format that you have to fill in. So. All right. If there's no questions from the board, would there be a motion to approve the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan?
I'll make a motion to approve the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan as presented.
All right, there's a motion by Mayor Sexton.
This is Mayor Johnson. I'll second it.
Okay, and a second by Mayor Johnson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Is there any anyone who would decline the motion? Please signify by saying aye. Seeing that motion passes, thank you very much. All right, D is the resolution 2020-04 to approve the 2020 through 2025 transit development plan, and Brad is going to present, I assume. Brad.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, board members. No later than September 1st each year, transit agencies in the state of Washington are required to submit a 6-year transit development plan to the Washington State Department of Transportation. The public hearing is scheduled for our August 19th board meeting. We'll have to have that here in just a minute. Transit released a draft transit development plan for a 30-day public comment period on July 15th, our last board meeting. No public comments were submitted in advance of the plan, but we did receive one this morning that was shared and mentioned earlier during the public comment period. The transit development plan identifies activities for the period 2020 to 2025. Annual updates reflect changing funding realities, policy goals, and new opportunities. Projects must be listed in the transit development plan to be eligible for state and federal grants. Our recommendation is that the staff requests the board approve 2020-4, adopting Skagit Transit's 6-year transit development plan. And it'll have no impact on the budget.
All right. Any questions for Brad regarding this particular item? Okay. Seeing that there's no questions, is there a motion to adopt the resolution 2020-04?
Madam Mayor, as part of the public hearing that has to be held, there's usually a public hearing is open to allow any last-second public comments that are by audience members.
Okay, apologize for that. Then we'll open the public hearing regarding resolution 2020-04, approving the transit development plan. Anyone wishing to speak, please identify yourself by name.
Sure. Joe Kunzler. You got my email comments. I'm sorry they were so late. One thing I do want to emphasize that I didn't emphasize in the email is I really would like to see some real leadership out of both staff and the board about getting that new MOA up and going and a financial plan to get there, especially as the financial reports show that we are significantly in the black because a new maintenance, operating, and administration facility will allow Skagit Transit to, to take care of its services, to electrify its fleet, which will save money in maintenance and also provide better, more responsive services to the riders. And I'm sure staff could better explain why the need for the facility than I can. And I just hope there's some financial planning in that regard. I also stand behind my email comments where I stress the need for Cedar-Woolley to have better transit connections. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. All right. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing regarding the transit development plan. All right. Is there...
Mayor Boudreau, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So I don't know, Brad, if you could speak to this, but I do know that Skagit Transit does have plans for Cedar-Woolley. Do you want to kind of elaborate on them?
Yes, ma'am. In our 2018 strategic plan, we called for several changes that would affect Cedar-Woolley directly. The first is a Route 30X, which would be an express service that runs from the Cedar-Woolley Park and Ride, stopping at, as it was drafted at that time, stopping at the Chuckanut Park and Ride, and then going into Skagit Station. That could cut down an hour and 15-minute trip if you wanted to go all the way in the Skagit Station from Cedar-Woolley down to about 21 minutes. And it would be a substantial improvement of service. Another service that was requested as part of that process and included on the prioritized list was dedicating a bus, redesigning the Route 300 so that there's a dedicated bus in Cedar-Woolley. Right now, the loop that runs through If you get in on one part of the loop, you may actually have to ride into Burlington and back before you can go to the other side of Cedar Woolley. And that is a severe impediment to Cedar Woolley citizens being able to get around in their own town. And last, certainly not least, to our staff, we were calling for the construction of a driver break facility at the Cedar Woolley parking ride. Right now, our drivers have to use the Walgreen bathroom, and that is becoming an issue for Walgreens. They've asked that we use it at a minimum. The other part that we do right now to take bathroom breaks is our bus lays over at Job Corps in the very northeast corner of Cedar Woolley for 20 minutes. And that's the usual opportunity for the Route 300 drivers to use the restroom. But what that does is it stops our bus in a very unaccessible area. There's not a lot of destinations and things nearby. If we were able to stop and do that break at the Cedar Woolley Park and Ride, you have grocery stores nearby, a pharmacy nearby, other businesses where people could get off the bus, go pick up a prescription at Walgreens and come back before that break is over. And it would be much better transit service if we were able to establish a bathroom facility there. So those are the things that Mr. Kunzberg is talking about today.
You're also going to be bringing in a stop to the Helping Hands Food Bank, are you not? That is in the plans.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yeah.
Thank you for that reminder. We are building a pullout at the Helping Hands facility. Right now, our Route 300 bus, when it stops there, it has to block the driveway to the facility because that's the only place where we can board wheelchairs. So the lot directly to the north that is currently a community garden, we are going to be, in conjunction with the city and the county, working on a project to build a bus pullout along Fruitdale Road so that our bus can pull out of traffic, not impede traffic flow through Fruitdale, and also allow people to access the facility. And it's a safe place for our vehicle to pull off the road, allow people who have packages of food to take their time and board and not be rushed.
And I do believe you're also thinking about, my apologies. I think you're also thinking about making a stop at our new library when it opens. Is that correct, or is that further down the line?
That'll be, well, that's part of our redesign that we would like to do to the Route 300, but that is actually tied up with our bathroom facility.
Okay.
The routing changes we would like to make require us to lay over at Cedar Woolley instead of Job Corps, and we can't lay over at the Park and Ride until we have that bathroom.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
Yes, ma'am.
The target is to do the pullout at the food bank in 21, right?
That is correct. We had an opportunity to move some grant funding around for a different safety project that we had. We're now moving that over to the construction. We should have the approval to do that and be able to move forward in the first half of next year. We already have the design completed. It has been permitted by the county, and I have a meeting tomorrow with the Federal Transit Administration to talk over the environmental permitting so that I can get that submitted. We're on track to start this project, the bus pullout, first half of next year.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Really good information, Brad. Thank you. Thanks for asking, Julia. All right. We are on the agenda item to approve our transit development plan. Is there any other questions? All right. Do I have a motion from the board to approve?
Mayor Boudreau, this is Mayor Johnson. I make a motion to approve the resolution 2020-04 adopting the Skagit Transit 6-year transit development plan.
I think it's a motion by Mayor Johnson.
I'll second the motion.
And a second by Mayor Sexton. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All right, opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, under item 7 is our executive director's report. Dale, do you have anything?
Just a quick update on the new base. Board is aware that we're on hold with that. We do have the funds to do phase 1. Our recommendation has been that we will wait till Skagit County gets into phase 3, and then we'll go out to bid, which would put us into construction in early part of 21. We did hear back on, we have 2 grants out there requesting $10 million each from the feds for phase 2 of the facility. Well, we heard back on the 5439 grant for $10 million. We were unsuccessful on that. So we still have 1 grant that's out there, and it's the build grant. We will most likely find it out in November if we're successful in getting that $10 million on that one. So we still are leasing out storage space to Legend. They're building their new warehouse as we speak. It will be completed in April, which would work out just fine as far as timing goes to start phase 1. And we're getting $11,000 a month from the Legends to keep the lights on and to take care of that building. So the only other things I have is Skagit Transit partnered with Helping Hands Food Bank for a food drive at the Cascade Mall. The theme for us was Stuff the Bus. We were fortunate enough to get 4,000 pounds of food put in the bus, and also they collected almost $30,000 in cash for the food bank. It was my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, that it kind of got into a bidding war with the refineries dropping off some pretty large checks.
Yeah, that's a pleasant side of that arrangement to be on.
Yeah.
Nice.
The other thing I have is we also are partnering with the Cedar Woolley Food Bank. On Fridays, we've taken 2 of our 15 passenger van pools, taken the seats out of them. We supply the driver, and we go and we fill the vans with food and deliver food to homes. The food bank does have one of their employees with us, so our driver's not handling the food. They're just the driver and making the deliveries. So another thing that the COVID money is used for. And that's it.
Thank you, Dale. So I think that's a great example of how you guys are such amazing partners throughout this whole thing. And even though you're supported by federal government a little more than our cities, there's still a huge benefit for what you're able to do. So thank you for all that. All right. There is no unfinished business, correct?
Correct.
All right. Moving on. Is there any new business?
No.
All right. With that, then we'll adjourn our Skagit Transit Board of Directors. The time is now 1:38. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks, everyone.